Your liver could be running at a fraction of its normal capacity right now, and you would feel absolutely nothing. Not pain, not pressure, nothing from your liver itself. But your body might already be telling you anyway, just not anywhere you'd think to look. Here are 13 places it might be showing up. Here's the one thing that makes the liver different from almost every other organ in your body. It has no pain nerves. None. Your stomach can cramp, your joints can ache, your head can pound, but your liver, even when it's significantly struggling, simply doesn't send a pain signal. It can lose a large portion of its normal function, and from the inside, you would feel completely normal. Here's why that matters so much. The liver isn't a single-job organ. It filters your blood, processes everything you eat and drink, produces the proteins that control bleeding and fluid balance, breaks down hormones, and helps digest fat. It touches almost every system in your body. So when it starts struggling, even though you feel nothing directly from the liver, all those other systems it supports start showing small changes in your skin, your eyes, your nails, even your thinking. That's the idea behind this whole video. 13 signs, and every single one of them is your liver talking to you through some other part of your body, because the liver itself stays silent. One more thing before the list, because it matters. When people hear liver problems, the first thing that comes to mind is usually alcohol. For a lot of people over 60, that's actually not the main story anymore. A condition called fatty liver disease, completely unrelated to alcohol, has become one of the most common liver conditions in adults, often linked to things like weight, blood sugar, and cholesterol rather than drinking at all. So if none of this applies to you in the way you might expect, that doesn't mean it doesn't apply to you. This list is for a lot more people than the word liver usually brings to mind. One thing before the list. If your skin or the whites of your eyes turn noticeably yellow over a matter of days, if confusion comes on suddenly and severely, or if you ever see blood and vomit or notice black, tarry stools, those aren't watch this video situations, those need medical attention promptly. Everything in this list is about a slow, gradual pattern building quietly over time, which describes almost everyone watching this. Here they are. Most of these you'd never connect to your liver on your own. Number 6 is the one that surprises people most. Sign 1. Not dramatic yellow. A subtle change, easiest to notice in natural daylight, comparing to how your eyes looked a year or two ago. This happens when a substance called bilirubin, which your liver normally processes and clears, starts building up because the liver isn't keeping up. It's often the most well-known liver sign, but the early, subtle version is easy to miss under normal indoor lighting. Sign 2. Tiny clusters of red lines radiating out from a central point, like a small spider, usually on the upper chest, shoulders, or face. If you press on one gently, it often goes pale, and then fills back in with color when you let go. These happen because of changes in how your liver processes certain hormones, and most people assume they're just age spots or broken capillaries from sun exposure. Sign 3. No visible rash, nothing to point to, just an itch, often worse in the evening or at night. This happens when substances called bile acids, which your liver normally sends into your digestive system, build up in your bloodstream and skin instead. Most people try moisturizer, antihistamines, a new soap, none of which address what's actually causing it. Sign 4. Not the breath you get from garlic or coffee. A faintly sweet, musty smell, sometimes described as similar to ammonia or old fruit. This happens because your liver normally filters certain compounds out of your bloodstream before they reach your lungs, and when it's struggling, some of those compounds get exhaled instead. People close to you might notice this before you do. Sign 5. A reddish, sometimes blotchy coloring on the palms, most noticeable at the fleshy parts near the base of the thumb and the base of the little finger, often warm to the touch. This is related to the same kind of small blood vessel changes as the spider marks, and it's easy to mistake for just having warm hands or mild irritation. Sign 6. Here's the one most people never see coming. Part of your liver's job is filtering certain waste products out of your blood before they can affect your brain. When it's not keeping up, Some of those waste products build up and can affect how clearly you think. This can show up as brain fog, trouble concentrating, subtle confusion, or even a change in your sleep pattern, being unusually sleepy during the day and more awake at night than you used to be. In its more developed form, this has a clinical name, hepatic encephalopathy, but the milder versions can be subtle enough that they get written off as normal aging, a bad night's sleep, or just having an off day. If you've noticed stretches where your thinking feels foggier than usual, and especially if someone close to you mentioned it before you noticed it yourself, that's worth paying attention to alongside anything else on this list. It's also the sign most likely to get chased down a completely different path, because foggy thinking after 60 gets investigated as a memory problem long before anyone thinks to look at the liver. Sign 7. Swelling around your ankles. That's new. That wasn't part of your normal pattern before, especially if it's worse by the end of the day. Your liver produces a protein called albumin, which helps keep fluid inside your blood vessels rather than leaking into surrounding tissue. When albumin production drops, fluid starts accumulating in the lowest parts of your body, which for most people sitting or standing during the day means the ankles. Sign 8. Bumps and knocks that used to leave a mark are now leaving noticeable bruises, sometimes without you even remembering what caused them. Your liver produces most of the proteins responsible for normal blood clotting. When that production slows down, blood takes longer to clot at the site of a small injury, and more blood pools under the skin before it stops, which is what a bruise actually is. Sign 9. This is one of the most specific patterns on this list, and also one of the easiest to attribute to just getting older. A noticeably larger midsection, sometimes described as feeling tight or full, combined with arms and legs that look thinner than they used to, even if your overall weight hasn't changed much. The midsection growth can be fluid accumulating in the abdomen, and the limb thinning reflects muscle loss, both connected to how the liver is functioning. Sign 10. Instead of the normal pink nail bed with a small pale crescent at the base, the nail looks mostly pale or white, with only a thin band of color near the tip. This is related to the same drop in albumin mentioned with the ankle swelling, and it's the kind of change that happens gradually across all your nails at once, which makes it easy to miss simply because you see your own hands every day. Sign 11. Tea-colored or darker urine that doesn't lighten up no matter how much water you drink. This is the same bilirubin buildup as sign 1, but showing up through your kidneys instead of your eyes. Most people assume this means they're dehydrated and respond by drinking more, which doesn't change anything if dehydration isn't actually the cause. Sign 12. When your liver isn't sending bile into your digestive system normally, stool loses the coloring that bile normally gives it and can look noticeably paler than usual, sometimes described as clay-colored or gray. Most people notice this once, assume it was something they ate, and don't think about it again unless it keeps happening. Sign 13. A thickening or tightening of the tissue in the palm, usually near the base of the ring finger or little finger, can gradually pull the finger slightly toward the palm and make it hard to lay your hand completely flat on a table or a counter. This is called Dupuytren's contracture, and while it has a few different causes, it's documented as occurring more frequently in people with liver conditions, and it develops slowly enough that most people just think their hand is changing shape with age. Before anything else, the same thing that's true every time we make one of these lists. Almost every sign here has other explanations too. Spider marks can just be spider marks. Ankle swelling can be from standing all day or from something else entirely. One sign on its own probably means very little. What matters is the pattern. 2 or 3 of these together, especially if they've developed gradually over recent months or years, and especially if they include something from this list alongside something you'd never have connected to it, like sign 6, that combination is worth paying attention to, not as something to panic about. As something worth describing clearly to a doctor, all together in one conversation. 3 things. And like always, all of them are simple. Tonight, do a quick self-check in good natural light if you can. Look at the whites of your eyes, the palms of your hands, your nails, and your ankles. Take a mental note or even a photo of how things look right now. Most of these changes happen so gradually that the only way to notice them is to have something to compare against later. Second, at your next appointment, ask for a comprehensive liver panel, not just the basic numbers that sometimes get included automatically. Specifically ask whether albumin is included. Albumin often starts dropping before the more commonly checked enzyme levels show anything unusual, which is part of why liver issues can stay under the radar, even when blood work has technically already been done. Third, if you notice 2 or more signs from this list, especially if one of them was sign 6, write them down together roughly when each one started. A list like that, brought to one appointment, reads completely differently to a doctor than each of those things mentioned separately across different visits months apart, which is usually how it actually happens. 3 things before tonight is over. Do the self-check in a good light. Eyes, palms, nails, ankles. Note or photograph what you see right now so you have something to compare to later. Write down which of the 13 signs, if any, sounded familiar, especially if more than one did. And if you've got blood work coming up, ask about albumin and a full liver panel in your phone right now before you forget. Sign 6 is the one I want to hear about most. If brain fog, trouble concentrating, or confusion that comes and goes was on your list, especially if it's something someone else mentioned before you noticed it yourself, that's the one most people genuinely never connect to their liver, and it's worth not dismissing it as just an off day. Write in the comments which numbers stood out to you, and whether number 6 was one of them. And your age and where you're watching from. The pattern in these comments tells me whether the next video should go deeper into sign 6 specifically, or somewhere else on this list.